get right into it because we have a full show today. So hello everyone and welcome to Fabulous Friday TV. Women from around the world and men are coming together today. We're celebrating being fabulous, living fabulous, and feeling fabulous. And I'm Sherry Clerges from Vancouver, and I'm founder and editor of At 45 magazine, as well as co-founder of Fabulous University, a platform for women to take courses wherever they are in life. So welcome today.
Hi, and I'm Anne Marrott, and can you hear me?
We can.
Oh, okay. I'm Anne Marrott, and I am the founder of Women Connect. It's an elite membership program for women worldwide to educate them, upskill them, and empower them. And I'm also the co-founder of Fabulous University alongside Sherry. And we're so happy to have everyone here today. And I think that a lot of ladies are looking forward to the speakers and what they have to share with us today. So yeah, thank you for coming on board. Over to you, Sherry.
Well, and Anne and I just want to say we feel blessed that you guys are joining us. You know, life is so busy nowadays, and because we're international, in some places people are just getting up, other places people are just starting their supper hour. So we always appreciate people taking the time and coming into the show. Just a little bit of housekeeping. Sometimes people are coming in the show and not that familiar with technology. So we want to make sure that you keep in mind when you're sharing that this is taped also and put up on our YouTube channel. So if you don't want your person to be out in the internet, you'll want to turn off your camera and then just keep in mind what you're sharing. So today we are talking about money. Can you fund and service your wants and needs? It's a big question, and especially for those of us who are moving into retirement. We want to be able to do all these things in life, and it really is critical to know whether or not we have a plan in place and that we do have enough money to do all those things that we want to do. So we've got a couple very interesting speakers today, and also some people sharing some amazing stories. So today I'm going to share a little bit about my story in the fact that I have been an entrepreneurial spirit all of my life. And often we think of being an entrepreneur as, you know, an immediate success, no failures. And I am here to say today that often being an entrepreneur comes with failures. And in fact, that's what happened to me. I opened up organic soup kitchen, believe it or not. And this was about 15 years ago. And unfortunately, through a whole chain of events that I don't need to go into, my business had to close. And I had to find a job and get back on the money train.
I didn't understand that.
Oh, sorry. That's my phone listening to me talk. So anyway, money is important. And I think what I learned then was that planning is really important. The fact that I had an exit strategy was a great thing. But of course, no one starts a business thinking that they're not going to be a success. So since that time, I've always had an appreciation for planning and making sure that I was able to fund retirement once I got there. So that's my story. Anne, I think you have a fascinating story.
Yes, I started off, obviously looking for a job when I was young, and then I'm just going to skip through my life so you can just see all the things that I had to go through. So then met a Frenchman in South Africa, and then eventually went to live in Mauritius, and was always from the age of 19, was always really in my own business with my husband. And then I just, years went past, and we decided to get divorced, and I had to return to my own country. And then I had to get a job again. And I'm not one of these people that, like to have working for a boss. I just can't. I have my own ideas and whatever. And so I just decided, okay, I am going to get my own business going. And I did. Now, to skip a whole lot of years forward, because my business, my marketing company is 23 years old. I decided in 2016 to go online. And the whole idea was, like what Sherry says, is that you need to plan and you need to know what you're going to do and what the steps are to get to where you want to go. And so that's what I did. And then my ultimate goal was to be online and to make a living while I slept. I mean, I didn't want to have to work as if I was in a job. All right. So I had to put steps in place to get to that position, also to work from wherever I was. Like my office would be my computer, and I could, wherever I go, I could open up my computer and do work for whoever my clients were. And eventually I got to that point. But the reason why I'm telling you all of this is because a lot of ladies and running the Women Connect program, I find a lot of women are scared to venture out in case they fail. Like, they're scared to try something new. And tonight, especially, we're going to hear from Henrico, the only rose amongst all the thorns. So, and he's going to tell you the same thing. There's a lot of fear in doing or trying something new. But you just, you have to just take that step forward, have your plan, take that step forward, deal with whatever comes. If it doesn't work out, well, you try something else, But I just encourage you to look at going online to earning what we call, a residual income, where money can come in without you doing much effort. And I'm sure we're going to talk about that today. So we have our first speaker up, right, Sherry?
Yes. Our first speaker is a new contributor to At 45 magazine, and we're so excited to have her. Tanya Lyn Werk has multiple financial industry designations and a diploma in legal studies. She's been a financial planner for more than 20 years, and she leads workshops where her favorite session is Women and Wealth. Tanya sits on the Langley Memorial Hospital Foundation Advisory Committee. She's the president of the Seniors Professional Connect and a past executive and coordinator for Valley Women's Association. And she has got some really interesting information about planning. Welcome, Tanya.
There we go. Thank you. So, should I just go ahead and speak?
Jump right in.
Tell us
how we should go about getting a plan.
Okay, so that's a really loaded question. It's a good one. I over the years, being in this industry for such a long time, realized that a lot of people are fearful, and that is typically the majority of why people aren't putting things down to improve where they're at. We all need a starting point. So, Anne, you mentioned that, you put down a plan and then you were able to make what you wanted as a career happen. And that's exactly the same thing for pretty much anything, especially for finance. So in this world where we're living longer and women live longer than men on average, we earn less. In Canada, it's pardon me, it's still $4 plus an hour less on average than men. That's from a Ledger poll. We're taking more time off of work. There's 1,000 reasons why women need to pay attention to their money, and all over the world. And I think that starting with a plan is number one. So I typically say starting with an asset and liability sheet is huge. What do you owe? What do you own? How are you holding it? What is it for? Can we do better? On either side, your assets, are they held appropriately? If you were to die, what would happen? If you couldn't speak for yourself, who would speak for you regarding those? On the debt side, how much do you owe? How can we attack this? How can we earn interest instead of pay interest? Can we get the interest lowered? What is the strategy? What do we have to work with? So that's the first thing that I say anybody should do, is starting with where they're at today.
And then once they've sort of got to that point, what are some other considerations that should be in a plan, Tanya Lyn?
Well, the next step I would say is goals and concerns. So really paying attention to the details, not just, oh, I want to retire at a certain age, or, I want to make sure my money lasts. Okay, but what do you want to do? Are you thinking semi-retirement? Do you think you'll purchase a business? Do you hope to have one to sell by that point? And there's a lot of discussions. A lot of people say they want to travel. And then I ask, what does that mean to you? Does it mean you get on a plane and you're there and you stay there for 2 weeks and you come home? Or are you the type of person that, you want to take a cruise and come back so you don't have to do a thing? Or do you want to get in an RV and travel across the country, or a motorcycle? There's so many different visions out there of what travel means. So conversations for that, because those are entirely different expenses. So we want to look ahead in future dollars. So inflation's always accounted for. After tax money in your hand, net, what do we need to strive to have for you at that time? Or if you're there now, is your money doing what it should and can? How long is it going to last you? And what do we need to do to make sure that will happen so you can do these things? I say, what do you expect to purchase in retirement? Oh, not a lot. And then I say, what about a car? Have we accounted for that? Where's that money coming from? Can I keep going?
Yes,
okay,
please.
So, I will keep talking. I'm warning you.
I'll give you a hands up when we're getting
okay.
to the end of the 6 minute mark.
Thank you. One of the things that I like people to do is write it all down, because then you're accountable, and even a budget too. I have a fantastic budget worksheet that it adds up online, and it glows red at you if you're over, and then we can take a look. And some of these budget calculators don't account for birthdays and anniversaries. So this one's it drills down, it's really nice. So find a good one of those, have an asset and liability sheet, look at your goals and concerns in retirement. What does that mean? So really get into it. And regarding your money, if you're in retirement, there's people that have GICs right now. And I'm kind of being specific to Canada. Our interest that's being offered is under inflation right now. So when you're putting your money in there for long term, you're deflating the value of your purchasing power. So it means that $100 today, what do you think that's going to be in 5-10 years from now, right? So look at gas 20 years ago, look at stamps 10 years ago, 5 years ago. So that's an example of inflation. So if you're putting your money in something that you feel is safe, and yet it's not even performing up to inflation, no way doesn't have a chance, you're deflating your money. So you're doing yourself a disservice. Then to top it all off, you're taxed on your top marginal tax rate because that type of product is pure interest. So you're giving away 30, 35, 25% to the government. So what really did we achieve? So you really want to have really good conversations about that. Another thing is people often come into a bit of money. Sometimes there's an inheritance and they run out and they pay off their mortgage or they buy a vehicle with it. And one thing I want to say is have someone run the numbers for you, because if you're earning 4 to 5 or 6, and I'm being conservative, percent on your investment, and you qualify for 0% on a depreciating asset like a vehicle, why wouldn't you have the investment make the payments and allow it to grow and at least have access if need be? Then you don't disrupt your cash flow if that's an issue as well. So there's all kinds of options that people are to consider. So yes, you'll need a new vehicle down the road if you're a driver. Maybe you plan on living in a community where one isn't required. Those are being built all over the place here in British Columbia. Other things, do you want to pay for a wedding? Do you want to pay for babies and grandbabies' education? I have 9 grandchildren. One of my goals is to make sure that I can pay for 4 years of post-secondary education for all of them, but I have a caveat on that, and that is they pay for it, I pay them back. So they're going to earn it, right?
That's a great idea.
Well, and if I may, that is the conversation I have with people all the time as well, is they have an RESP, but why? So Registered Education Savings Fund. And why? Well, I want to pay for my children's school. What does that mean to you? And I quite often get looked at like, you don't understand anything. Like, do you want to pay for 7 years of university, half of it, half of each year, all of each year, part of each year, the first year only? So why are you putting $50 every 2 weeks into this RESP? Has anyone shown you what that equals when the child's 18? So a whole conversation per intention, right, has to happen. And it's not a nice thing to meet someone whose child is 1 year away from university and they found out they only saved $5,000 because no one told them that with 15 more each deposit, they would have had what they needed or whatever. So, you know, it's take a look, because not everyone is looking for you. The other thing is income. Even if you're in retirement, is everything that you have registered? Or if you're about to go to retirement, you're going to look at possibly, if you're lucky, an employer pension. If you've saved up RSPs, those are going to be riffed out, meaning they turn into income funds and you're withdrawing at 71 end of year minimum, or that's the latest they can sit there. Then you've got CPP, Canada Pension Plan, and Old Age Security here in Canada. All of that is taxable. So when you need a roof or when you need to buy that car, where's that money coming from? Is it coming out of your RSPs? That'll shorten your pool and up your tax bracket. So you want to be very careful that ahead of time we're thinking of this and we're looking at how do we collect non-registered money to offset our needs in retirement. So that's what a TFSA is for. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, that's great information, Tanya Lyn. Thanks so much. What I think often too is, as you were talking, sometimes the terms, you know, a person glazes over if you're not in the financial world. So I think, you know, one thing is women need to educate themselves and to empower themselves too, I believe, to sort of take ownership of that, and also work with professional people who can help them understand the repercussions.
Right.
It's important. So thanks so much for sharing. Tanya Lyn just released an article in the magazine this week. You can find it on at45.com. It has all her contact information in it too, and fleshes out a little bit more some of the things that we were talking about today. Excuse me. So thank you very much, Tanya Lyn. We're going to ask one of our audience to share their financial situation and what they've learned. Gina, are you able to share Hi. Just unmute yourself.
That makes me laugh. Because I come from a financial planner background, believe it or not. So I did all the right things. I ticked all the boxes. I did the investments. I did the savings. I did all that. And then life exploded. And I got breast cancer, and all my savings and all my investments and everything just went tits up, because that's how I stayed afloat. So I started again about 2 years ago and had to rebuild everything. And I worked really hard, and I'm pretty crafty. So I bought my ex out of the house in the fall. Right now, that's my retirement plan, which I know is not a good thing, but I'm working on other things. So I'm slowly rebuilding, because, the one lesson in all of this, as much as, I would never have the conversation about retirement or anything like that, even though I came from that world, because I didn't want to know. I was much happier. Just didn't want to know. But now I do have a budget. I do. The most interesting thing is, though, I have discovered recently is I worry about money more now that I have it than I did when I didn't have it. Right. I want to spend $5,000 doing the backyard. And I had someone quote me, and I had this whole little freak out with myself about, I can't spend $5,000 in the backyard. Yet all last year I paid $5,000 in rent a month for an office I didn't use that I don't have anymore. Right. So I've been banking the money. So it's really interesting, the dynamic we have around money. And I have one of my business, I have a mortgage business, and I do a lot of reverse mortgages for clients when they retire. And these days, it used to be because they were broke and they needed to fund their retirement. These days, most of them are retired accountants, and they're doing it to leverage their investments, right? So it's really interesting how things change. But the lesson in all this is, a lot of people don't want to look at money at all. Start little, start know your bank balance. 1 year I actually sent out a budget to every single one of my mortgage clients. I actually printed them off and put a big sign on saying, this is a budget, because I still have those questions from people, and it just blows my mind a little bit. So all I say is just be mindful. I'm not about, and ask yourself about your mindset around money, because I've had to look at that. For years we lived high on the hog. We had a great lifestyle. But now that I'm responsible for everything myself, it's different. But I can, I budget things. Like I've already budgeted my property tax, sitting in a bank account.
Go girl.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of nice than the day before trying to get it off my visa.
Well, thanks for sharing.
Yeah,
go ahead.
The other day I had a friend call me to ask me a favor, and she wanted to put something on my visa for 2 weeks. And she's been crawling her way out of a huge amount of debt and doing amazing. But she really, really wanted to do this program. And I know she's good for it. I know what she's been doing. So I said, of course. And she said, really? And I said, for the first time ever, I can say there's no balance on my visa. You need to put something on it. You go right ahead. And that was really nice. My big challenge is teaching my boys about money. It's really interesting. Totally different world.
Totally different world.
Totally different.
Yes. Yeah, we're working just to teach ourselves, and then if we have children, we're often responsible for that. But what you shared, Gina, was really important too, because we often are planning for our current reality, and we forget that, there's divorce, separation, spouses pass away. There's so many things that can happen to change our financial reality. So,
the day I got diagnosed with breast cancer, I literally sat in the car and thought, well, I can do 22 payments on my line of credit for the mortgage. Like, that's literally the thought I had, right?
Oh.
Because I don't, as self-employed, I couldn't take, there's no EI insurance for me for disability and stuff like that. So it was really interesting, but I did it, kept the house, got myself out of the hole.
Well, congratulations. Well done. And Gina De Palma, you also have an interesting story around, getting divorced and having to create your financial future.
Yeah, when I was married for almost 30 years. And I got married when I was 17. I had a wonderful husband, but he didn't value money And as a result, I was a saver and he was a spender. My health started declining. And anyways, we ended up divorcing. And what I realized was, I've got a smart head on my shoulders. I need to figure out, pardon me, how I'm going to get out of this hole. Because I didn't owe money other than my mortgage, but I wasn't making a lot of money. A lot of it was me actually holding myself back. So I reevaluated where I wanted to go within the company I worked for. Prior to that, I've changed companies every 5 years. I'd get bored, do something else, make more money, blah, blah. But when we divorced, I really just had enough money for a down payment on the house. I didn't have anything extra. I had 2 grown children, one still in high school, one in university. And I really wanted to ensure that their education was taken care of, or that they would be able to take care of their education in some way. I started doing a thing where because my hours were quite flexible for the company I worked for, I took 2 hours each day. I split my day in half. I took 2 hours during the middle of it, and I started doing day trading online. And in 2 years, I saved $75,000. And then from there, I started investing in high-risk items. And because the company I worked for, although I love them, they didn't have a pension package. I actually never worked for a company that had a pension package. So I was very frugal with my money on hand. I increased my wages 4 times. With the company that I was in, they allowed me to grow, or actually I should say, they recognized my talents. And so what I did was I found a really good financial advisor, and she was through a bank, and I moved my money and everything to her bank. And so I don't have a fee that I have to pay. And because at one time I was working with a broker that I had to pay, and I didn't like it. One, because anytime I made money was when I was actually doing the legwork to get it. And but now with her, for almost 20 years, I did a lot of high risk investing. The other thing I did that I should tell you about is I went from saving 1% of my income to saving 30% of my income, and still being able to put my kids through university and help them with that, and being able to fund my lifestyle. And then I bought and sold I actually fixed up by myself. I'd fix my house, sell it, buy another one, fix it up, buy it, sell it. So I would lower my mortgage. I still have a mortgage, but my mortgage interest rate is 2%, whereas my investment interest rate on the worst days is around 12%, on the best days is 20%. I'm retired now, so my income is in middle investment, and I did move money into my RIF, and every month I take out a certain amount because I liked the money that I was making monthly and I wanted to continue it. And so I'm still taking money out of my RIF, and by the time I'm ready to take it out the next month, I've made it up in investments already in that particular RIF. So I've only taken, I would say, about a quarter of my money and put it into RIFs, and the rest I've held back into investments. So I was really worried that I knew what my future was going to hold, and I have a handicap, and I knew that it would get worse and that I would end up in a wheelchair, and I didn't want to be poor and handicapped. So luckily enough, through perseverance and working hard to make sure my money worked hard for me. I will say, when I was listening to, I'm so sorry, I've forgotten your name already because I have crap for brain these days. I actually did something I should never have done, especially because I trust my financial advisor. When I was buying a new car, she said, listen, we can get you that at 1%, or I think it was 0.05%, like 0.5%. So just take a loan out for it and just pay it monthly. And I'm like, no, I'll just take the cash out. I'll just buy it. I don't want to have a monthly payment. Well, that was the stupidest thing I ever did, because it took me almost a year to make that money back through hard investments. But I never, ever doubt her anymore. She's just fabulous.
Well,
So I live comfortably, but I agree with Gina Best. When I didn't have money, I didn't worry about it. But I have to say, I never spent above my means. And I always made sure that my means were 30% less than I made.
well, that's a very good approach. So 2 different approaches, but very, I think, based in a lot of good financial knowledge. Tanya Lyn, would you sort of agree with that? You know, people trying to put those steps in place.
Yeah, and it's very individual. So although
Absolutely.
Gina De Palma was willing to take high risk and face potential losses, Gina Best may not have been, or another person may not. So very individual, and what's good for one isn't necessarily good for the other, but good for you, Gina. You did well.
Absolutely. So thanks so much. So Anne, we're going to sort of change gears and go into a different part of the financial world. I'll let you introduce our next guest.
Absolutely. And so I have the pleasure of introducing Henrico Hanekom. Henrico is from South Africa and is an entrepreneur and neuro-coach who loves helping people to free their life by means of creating multiple streams of automated income anywhere in the world. He's a decamillionaire, he'll explain what that is, who's proven his recipe for financial success, not only for himself, but also for hundreds of people, becoming economically self-empowered. Now, I know Henrico, and I actually work with him as well, and he has something brilliant to share with us today. Now, he advocates the power of blockchain technologies and specifically low-risk strategies to his inner circle members. So he's got a platform that he works from as means of experiencing financial freedom, time freedom, location freedom, and even career freedom. His streetwise insights and technological savvy opens the path for everyone who's ready to evolve in their next money bandwidth. So I'm going to hand you over and welcome Henrico. Are you there, Henrico?
Yes, thank you so much. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you.
I'm so happy to be here. Since you call it Fabulous Friday, let's talk about fabulous money. If I can ask you to, for 1 minute, just dream with me and think about your perfect life. What does it look like in every area? What does your income look like? What does your environment look like? What does your health and your physicality look like? What does your relationships look like? If you think about that, I am here to remind you that it is possible for you to have that. And there's, on the other side of the coin, the challenge here is if you are 45, I think I remember the magazine's name, something about 45, but let's just play with me. If you are 45 years old, some of you are younger, some of you are older, and you plan to work up to 65, right? Which is very related. Most of us would like to retire much earlier. You only have how many salaries? Think about this. You have 240 salaries over the next 20 years to buy that dream life with. The concept of retirement is a total fluke. It's something designed by the financial systems, the financial institutions, to say you will work the whole of your life. You will work for money so that one day you can enjoy what you're doing. So now you have to work for money, doing something that sometimes people don't like. If you do like what you're doing, you are in a good space, working how many every years, and then you retire, and then you get to have the life that you want. So I've allowed myself to let go of the idea of retirement completely. To say, what if I can, that picture of retirement, what if I can bring that into the present moment and not have it in my future? Let me have it right now. If you do that, suddenly the traditional model of finance, the traditional model of investing doesn't fit that description. And this is where the blockchain technologies are so powerful in creating that. So as Anne mentioned, I'm very passionate and very fulfilled by helping people create multiple streams of automated income that is also geographically free. So that gives people time freedom, career freedom, financial freedom, and geographical freedom, which that's very important. So once you've achieved that, the world is really your oyster. You get to do whatever you want with whoever you want, and to what extent you want, right? So money is really a resource. So in the way that Gina said, it's all about mindset. Gina with the beautiful purple hair, she mentioned something about mindset. And the way we look at money is the way that it is. So if we change our mindset about money, then it also changes. So that's where the neuro-coaching part of it comes in. But if you want to change your life, you first need to change your mind, And if we talk blockchain and Bitcoin and these things, the uncertainty and the fear of something new comes up. The fear of losing, the fear of I'll have to learn about technology, and all these kind of fears come up. So I actually want to ask you guys to, in the chat box, just take a second to and just very honestly, just raise any concern or question that you have about Bitcoin or cryptocurrency. I might give out a book. This is a book that I really love. I've read it so many times. I'll give this as a prize, by Dr. John DeMartini, How to Make One Hell of a Profit and Still Get to Heaven. This is really a great book. It's a life-changing book. It will help you to make fabulous money. I'm not seeing anything in the chat box. Okay, Gina is saying, I really can't get my head around it. Who else? What are your fears, concerns, or why would you not? Why would you get involved into Bitcoin? So as you type that up, let's kind of think about what is happening in the world. So Tanya mentioned inflation and how things are getting more and more expensive. We sometimes talk about the good old days when a car only cost you X amount. Now it costs so much. If you think about, let's take a stupid example. Let's take a banana, for instance. And we look at the price and how it's gotten more and more expensive. The value of that banana has stayed exactly the same. It is a straight line. The value of transport, the value of a house, it has stayed the same. So what has happened is nothing has gotten more expensive. What has happened on the flip side is really that money is being depreciated. So with inflation, the same money buys less and less and less. And this is really governments. I'm going to give it to you straight. Governments are printing money like toilet paper, right? So the more money they print, the less the money in your pocket is worth. And this is happening on a huge scale. COVID has just come to fast track that. Now, because the monetary system is manipulated, and I know this is a controversial topic and I'm not going to get into the conspiracy theories, but we need some kind of immunity. We need some kind of immunity, right? And that immunity, for me, I've discovered is blockchain technologies, right? And how that works is, if I can quickly give you the shortest technical explanation, is in the past, let's say I pay Anne via the First National Bank here in South Africa, it says Henrico now has 10,000 Rand less and Anne has got 10,000 Rand more. Where's the ledger kept? The ledger is centralized. It's kept with the bank. Do you guys agree with me? Can I see a nod? Yes, okay, so it's a centralized ledger. We just trust these banks, right? And if you go into the history of banking, there's some very interesting stuff there. Now, what the blockchain has done is an anonymous person called Satoshi Nakamoto, it could have also been a group, back in 2008, 2009, has written a white paper to suggest a new system, a new monetary system. And this is really the beautiful evolution of what is happening to money. And based on that, he said, how can we have a monetary system that is not manipulated by banks and governments, right? It is not where that is the central point. So he proposed, or she or the group proposed, what is called decentralization of currencies. So now if I pay Anne some Bitcoin, there's no middleman, there's no government, there's no bank, there is no discrimination of age. My son is underage and he owns Bitcoin. There's no discrimination of country. Think about it, the borders of country is an imagined concept. It's a very pertinent and a very definite thing that we've imagined, but borders is an imagined thing between countries. So now we get tied up in all these things called forex and foreign exchange and all these things. It doesn't discriminate between sex, male and female. It doesn't discriminate between races. It is a beautiful currency of unity. Now, if Anne doesn't know me, and then I pay her Bitcoin, she doesn't trust me, that's okay, because the blockchain technology is so good that it requires no trust. So my blockchain transaction is now ledgered in the blockchain throughout the world. It's like an internet on top of the internet, the blockchain, right? And that ledger is kept in a decentralized way, little nodes all over the internet. Once the network has got consensus that Henrico has sent Anne some Bitcoin, the network says, yes, the transaction is through. It can never be reversed. So if you do it right, it is the safest money there is. The only way to stop blockchain and Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies is if you were able to put off the whole internet by itself, or put a policeman in everyone's home or next to them, because now we use on our devices. So go and do your research about blockchain technology. It is the safest money. It's the beautiful evolution of what money is. All right, it's nothing to be scared of. We have fears because we project our past experiences into the unknown, fears of loss, fears of what if I'm not able to do it or whatever. Okay, so I'm looking at questions here in the chat box, and Gina Best is saying, I really can't get my head around it. So maybe that little explanation there of the blockchain has helped you. So instead of the bank being a centralized ledger, we now have a voluntary network that is a decentralized ledger. That is the key word in cryptocurrency. No one other than me owns that cryptocurrency, not the bank, not the government, not any other party. Bitcoin is now under the top 6 companies in the world in terms of net value, together with Amazon and Apple and these companies. The only difference is Bitcoin doesn't have a CEO. It doesn't have a head office. It doesn't have a support system. It is all actioned by the trustworthiness of the blockchain algorithm. I really want to encourage you, if you do not take this shot of immunization to learn about cryptocurrency, your financial story will become sick. It will become ill. Please mark my words, because this is so important. And I know it's not nice to always hear that. I can't touch that money. That is Gina De Palma. Why does she say she can't touch that money? Oh, it's not tangible like
Not
that.
physical, yeah.
Okay, so it does have a real world value. The computational cost that it has cost to mine the cryptocurrency, the network that it resides on. We in any ways using digital money. We're using very little cash these days. You also can't touch digital money, but it has an intrinsic value. And where governments are printing money like toilet paper, the blockchain has got a anti-inflation, I almost said inflammation, anti-inflation system built into it. So there's a scarcity. Every 4 years or so, depending on the parameters, the amount of Bitcoin halves. It's a bit like mining for gold. The more you mine out, the less you get. The more scarce the thing becomes, and the higher the value becomes. So the blockchain algorithm determines scarcity. And on the other side of the economy, we have dollars and euros and rands that is not scarce. They are just printing more and more of the stuff as they need it. Okay? So scarcity creates value. So that is very, very important. Sherry, maybe that also answers your question in terms of, is it real? It is absolutely, absolutely real. Love cryptocurrency from Holly, up 250% on initial investment. The question someone asked was, will it be common currency based on the energy that it needs to run? It used to be they had to have enough gold in storage to print more money. Why did that change? Okay, Holly, you are winning this book because you're asking a very relevant question. In 1971, President Nixon stopped the gold standard and changed the legislation around that, where more money could be printed irrespective of the gold reserve. So those days are over. I mean, with fractional banking and credit and all these kind of things, the bank loans out probably about 100 times more than what they have deposits for. A highly geared system, highly inflated, in reality deflated. So that is where it all started, where our money is buying us less and less and less. And there's a beautiful and amazing and elegant technology that is now the evolution of money. That is called cryptocurrency. So yes, 250% up in an initial investment. Over the past 10 years, if we average out the growth, Bitcoin has grown, and it's not the new kid on the block anymore. It's now almost 11 years. Every single year, 200%. Think about that. Think about that. It is a proven system. It is safe. There's a lot of propaganda in terms of you will lose your money or you will be hacked or it's a bubble. It's not that. If you buy into that, you buy into the propaganda. So shall we, the question then is, how do you start? How do you start? Now, as I said, my mission is to help people to create multiple streams of automated income that is geographically free. So just to tell you where I'm at, one of my favorite things to do is to go with my kids when they do horseback riding here in South Africa. And that's on a Thursday morning. And the other morning I was sitting there with my wife and we were just having a good chat. And I said to her, you know how grateful we can be to be here. Because here we're sitting, we're enjoying nature. The kids are having a great time. They're learning from a private tutor to do horseback riding. We are having a chat and it's Thursday morning between 9 and 10 o'clock while the rest of the world is working for money. And the reason why we are so grateful for that is because we've made a decision that we will no longer work for money. We will learn how does money work for us. And this is something that other Gina with the beautiful platinum hair said she has learned how money can work for her. And this is the evolution that we need to go about, is let go of our programs of working and slaving for money. That is effectively financial slavery. If you sell your time, see how can money work for us. So I'll give you 2 things that you can do to start. On my YouTube channel, Practical Abundance, there is a video called Bitcoin for Skeptics. All right. If you search YouTube and you search Henrico Practical Abundance, you should find my channel, and there's a video called, it's a whole hour explanation Once you've watched that, I promise you, you will feel safe about Bitcoin, because that is what it is in reality. All right. The other thing that Gina also said is start small. And the thing of habit, like saving every month, going from 10% to 30%, making 2 hours in a day to empower yourself with some new information and learn about this topic. Something like that, where you get a habitually do something. And what I encourage people is to not be saving losers, because Robert Kiyosaki says savers are losers, and it's because of the deflation and the inflation of money. So, but if you learn to save productively through investments, then that money starts working for you, and it becomes so addictive. Isn't that true, Gina? The more you save, the more addictive it becomes. Like, wow, this feels amazing, you know, and you really begin to feel self-empowered in your own finances. So if you take a little bit of money of your surplus and you purchase cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, and you start holding that for the long term, you will see amazing things. That is the most basic thing that you can do. You hold it in your own wallet. You don't give it away to any other platform or that, and you will see amazing things. Over the past 5 years, Bitcoin has outperformed gold. It's outperformed Tesla stocks. It's outperformed Netflix. It's outperformed the whole of the stock exchange. And 5 years gave us at least 2 of the downtrends in Bitcoin as well. So it is a very good picture to look at. So this is the immunity shot that we all have to take in terms of what's happening with the world, and our money is immensely losing its buying power, you know. And taxation and inflation is really a very clever way to enforce slavery, if you go and think about it. Yes, controversial, I know, but this is the ultimate truth that I've discovered for myself. So see how it fits. The other thing you can also do is, I'd like to invite you to my inner circle that Anne mentioned. And this is a community of people. Anne is also involved there. She helps us with content. You know, she's very good with that. She helps us with the emails and all these kind of things, and the funnels with all the marketing expertise. But in that community of people, we have a strategy. We have an approach where we are able to help people take those first steps. And also we have platforms that we participate in where myself and other people, and to tell you where I'm at, is I earn automated, not passively, because passive income is a myth. I earn automated, so that means there's a system that does the income for me. I still manage that system. I'm still a steward of my investment there. It's not passive, it's automated. It means I can walk away and the machine keeps going, but there's some management involved. Automated income, multiple streams, and I'm geographically free. It means I can choose any career that I want. I just work really for fun. So fun and work is the same thing for me. Right now, I'm earning 11 times more. In other words, okay, see you waving. Let me finish up with that. I'm currently earning 11 times more. Is that 1,100%? Yes, of what I need in a month, right? So I need less than 10% of what I earn goes to my, daily or monthly expenses, and that income is automated. And the other 90% is used for more investments and more growth, more automation. So I just want to end off there in saying, you can do this, and you can unlock that beautiful thing that you imagine your life to be. Let's call it fabulous money. Money is just the means to the end. You can unlock that right now, and where the money is flowing to you right now is into the blockchain. So please take note. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you, Henrico. That was fascinating. I know it's sort of interesting that as an older group of people, we're talking about cryptocurrency now. My son's been in cryptocurrency, I think, almost from when it first, was the cool thing to do. And I always thought that it was, something for younger people, right? And so I think now you've really brought it to the forefront that, again, as women, we need to empower ourselves by knowing all the options and the information about cryptocurrency. So thank you very much for sharing that. That was very, very interesting.
Yeah, Sherry. Ladies, I have put Henrico's website on there if you want to have a look. Take a look at that YouTube video that he suggested. And if you want any further information, you're welcome to just email Sherry or I, and we'll pass on that information. So I always believe that it's great when you have someone that's referred rather than going into the unknown of dealing with someone you don't know. So I know Henrico, and he's a very respectful and respected businessman in South Africa. So thank you again, Henrico. Thank you for coming and sharing that with us.
Absolutely. So we're just about ready to wrap up. One thing that I wanted to remind everyone is that we have a mastermind happening with Gina Best, talking about money. Often we have businesses that maybe aren't making the kind of money we want or that we deserve. And sometimes it's easier to rebrand or increase our social media or start a new project. But Gina Best is able to give you the tools to look deep and find the answers to why your business isn't as successful as you want. And she keeps you focused on the steps to change the outcome. The class is limited to 12, and one lucky participant is going to have her fees refunded as a bursary. So you can go and find out about it on at45.com or check out gina.best. Is that right, Gina? Is that the right address? Yeah. Great. And we just want to thank everyone for showing up today and participating in the show. Next week, we have another fascinating show. We're talking about getting in touch with our spiritual side. That inner being that feeds your soul. It can be your faith, but it doesn't need to be religious. And we want to know, are you dedicating time and energy and focus to develop a deeper understanding and connection with your own being? So that's, we've got some interesting people lined up to talk next week too. So thank you everyone for joining. And remember, you are fabulous, be fabulous. Thanks.